Good evening po sa inyong lahat. Welcome sa ating 35th Kapihang OH online edition. This is a monthly session where we tackle the latest updates in the field of occupational safety and health. We hope that everyone is safe and healthy. Kami po dito sa Philippine College of Occupational Medicine, Quezon City Chapter ay nagagalak na nabigyan niyo kami muli ng inyong oras para makinig at matuto sa discussions natin ngayong gabi. Welcome back sa ating Kapihang OH at welcome sa mga first time po na naka-join. Ako po ang inyong host, Dr. Jason Jan Cabigon, ang Chair ng Finance Committee ng PCOM Quezon City Chapter. Sa mga nakaraang kapihan, marami na po tayong napag-usapan tungkol sa COVID, protocols, variants, bakuna, boosters at marami pang iba. Pero malapit na ba tayo sa endgame ng COVID pandemic? O di ba parang ngayon lang napasukan na ata tayo ng Omicron variant. Kaya maganda po kung buwan-buwan tayo nag-a-attend para tayo ay updated. Ngayong gabi ay tutuloy natin ang isa sa mainit na topic, Usaping Bakuna Kontra COVID-19 Part 4. Pagtatapos ng pandemya, pagsibol ng ekonomiya. Pero bago po ang lahat, meron lamang tayong konting paalala sa ating mga participants ngayong gabi. Ito po ang ating konting reminders. Una, pakimute po ang ating mga microphones para wala tayong naririnig na ibang sounds kundi yung boses lang ng ating guest speaker. Pangalawa, pansamantalang isara ang ating mga phone at computer cameras para iwas din po sa pagbagal ng ating virtual kapihan. Kung meron pong katanungan, maaari itong i-type sa chat box at later ay babasahin natin ito para masagot ng ating speaker. Sa mga magre-request po ng kopya ng e-certificates ng session, ito ay maibabahagi kapag 90% ng kapihan na ito ay nakumpleto. Ito ay ipapadala sa inyong mga email. Kung merong technical concerns, maaari lamang na pakitype sa chat box. So yun po ang ating house rules. Without further ado, let us officially start our 35th Kapihang OH. To welcome us all sa ating 35th Kapihang OH, ladies and gentlemen, our PCOM Quezon City Chapter President, Dr. Catherine Artais Carriaga.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Cabigon. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat na aming tagapanood at tagapagsubaybay. Mula sa iba't ibang panig ng Pilipinas at sa labas ng bansa. Sa aming kapamilya sa Philippine College of Occupational Medicine, mga kapuso sa Occupational Safety and Health at kapatid sa propesyon ng kalusugan. Isang mainit na pagtanggap mula po sa amin na bumubuo ng PCOM Quezon City Chapter. Magtatapos na ang taong 2021. Halos 2 taon na tayong nakikibaka sa pandagdigang pandemya dulot ng COVID-19. Ngunit patuloy pa rin umiinog ang mundo at umuusbong ang pag-asa na balang araw ay masisilayan natin ang pagtatapos ng krisis na ito. Bagamat ang bagong variant of concern na Omicron ay kakalapag lang ngayon sa bansa. Sa kapaligiran, madadama na ang espiritu ng Kapaskuhan. Mapapansin ang pagdami ng mga tao mula sa bata hanggang sa mga matatanda na namamasya sa parke at iba't ibang pasyalan na lugar at lugar ng pamilihan. Sa patuloy na pagbaba ng naitatalang kaso araw-araw, ay siya namang pagluwag na restriksyon sa iba't ibang panig ng bansa. Madami na nga mga manggagawa ang nagbalik na sa trabaho. Sa pagpapaigting na malawakang resbakuna ng programa ng gobyerno, marami ng Pilipino ang nabigyan ng bakuna kontra COVID-19. Kamakailan lang ang pagbabakuna sa edad 17 pababa hanggang 12 taong gulang ay sinagawa na sa bansa. Kasabay nito, ang pagbubooster sa ating mga frontliners, senior citizens at mga mamamayang may comorbidities. Kaya po ngayong gabi sa ating virtual na pagtitipon-tipon, Kami ay lubos na nalulugod dahil kasama po natin ang isa na namang eksperto sa larangan na ito upang talakayin ang usaping bakuna kontra COVID-19 sa ika-4 na serye, pagkatapos ng pandemya, pagsibol ng ekonomiya. Tara po, tayo ay sabay-sabay na makinig at matuto ngayong gabi. Maraming salamat po at naway tayo maging ligtas sa darating na Kapaskuhan.
Thank you, Dr. Carriaga. Our dearest colleagues, and to all our beloved guests from all sectors of the workforce, the chapter is very honored to introduce our beloved speaker tonight. Last time she joined us, blockbuster ang Kapihang OH natin. She gave us valuable insights. Sabi niya, sa November magkaka-booster at pwede na mag-mix ng brands. Sakto, lumabas po yung guidelines. And that's even way back before. As she currently serves as the chairperson of the DOST Expert Vaccine Panel on COVID-19 Vaccine Clinical Trials. She is also a member of the WHO Scientific Steering Committee for COVID-19 Solidarity Vaccines Trial. She continues to chair the National Certification Committee for Poliomyelitis Eradication in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present our guest speaker for tonight. Please all welcome Dr. Nina G. Gloriani.
Hello, thank you very much, Dr. Jason Cabigon, and good evening po kay President Dr. Carriaga, and yung sumusulat po sa akin si Dr. Ces Diana, at sa lahat po sa inyo. So, mag-share na po ako ng aking slides. I only have 20 slides para mas mahaba po ang ating kwentuhan, ang ating question and answer. Teka lang po. Kita nyo na? Okay na po. So, narinig nyo naman na ako before. So, yun, siguro updates na lang talaga about the COVID-19 vaccine boosters at itong ating variants of concern. So, dumadami na sila. Yung dating 1, 2, 3, 4 ngayon ay 5 na at nakalapag na sa Pilipinas. So, ito po yung outline ng presentation ko. So, magkakaroon tayo ng update on the global and Philippine COVID-19 scenario, yung ating national vaccination program, at ano ba itong mga waning immunity na to at nag-fade na ang protection. At bukod doon, bumababa immunity sa mga bakuna, ay dumating pa ang mga variants of concern. So, kailangan natin ng dagdag na protection, and we are looking at booster doses, especially with the first generation vaccines. Kasi wala pa po yung mga bagong vaccines or updated vaccines, and some take-home messages. So, ito yung update ng global COVID-19 scenario or situation as of December 13. So, 2 days ago. Teka lang, isasalan ako. Okay. So, you look here, no? We have now a total of 269.4 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 globally. And the new cases were around 533,000 in the last 24 hours of December 13. So yan yung number globally ay naglalaro ngayon sa 300, 400. Pero for a few days last week, nasa 300, 400. Pero nakita nyo ngayon nasa lampas na naman sa 500,000. And then, but thankfully, hindi naman ganun kataas yung mga new deaths na nakikita. And also thankfully, we have deployed globally 8.2 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines. So hindi na lang yan 1 dose, 2 doses, at sa ibang mga countries, mayroon nang nagbigay ng 3rd doses. Okay. So makita nyo dito, no? Ito mahilig ako ipakita to kasi ito yung ups and downs ng ating pandemya. Nag-up, medyo parang nag-plateau, pumanik na naman, and then bumaba, pumanik, bumaba, pumanik. And then we're seeing Actually, sa akala natin bumababa pero may uptick, may upsurge, may surge na naman po. So ito yung different ano bang tawag dito, regions of the world, no? Americas, Europe, Southeast Asia, Eastern Mediterranean, Western Pacific, and Africa. Well, this depende sa dami ng tao or dami ng cases. So makikita nyo itong Americas, ito yung orange. Grabe ang dami ng kaso nila. At makita nyo siguro, mas madaling makita dito. Americas and Europe, parehong pataas ang kaso. Medyo parang bumaba. After that, yung very high surge noon, bumaba, tumaas, bumaba, tumaas. Ito, mukhang tumataas na naman po. And then sa Europe, ganun din. Mas mataas sa Europe. So, isipin nyo, ito yung mga nakakuha ng mga vaccines earlier. And then sa Southeast Asia, better nga ang kanilang data, and Eastern Mediterranean, pababa ang trend. We hope hindi yan tataas, no? And then with Western Pacific, bumababa na tayo, pero may umaakyat na naman. So titingnan natin, hindi naman sa ating country yan umaakyat kasi we have a downtrend in our cases. So, pero medyo pataas. And then, of course, Africa, because of the Omicron variant, ayan. So medyo bumababa na sila noong mga October and then early November. Biglang nag-surge na naman at mabilis na surge ng cases, and this was attributed to the Omicron variant. So ito po naman yung sa Pilipinas, no? So yung as of December 14, which is kahapon, nakita nyo, no, ito, mga bagong kaso ay 235 na lang. O grabe ang baba, no? Nung when sometime in September and October, grabing taas, nasa 20,000 tayong mahigit cases of COVID per day. Parang hindi ka paniwala na bababa pala. But thankfully naman bumaba. Pero we still have a total of 2.8 million cases of confirmed COVID. So ito, ganun din yung kagaya sa global. Up, down, konting up, down, up, tapos mataas yung Delta variant po ito. Ito yung mga September, October, and then bumababa. And this is the downtrend that we are seeing. So, kanino natin to i-attribute? Of course, yung ating mitigation measures na nakatulong talaga ng malaki. Yung ating mga lockdowns, yung pag-adhere natin sa public health precautions, at, well, sorry, medyo biased ako. I would attribute a lot of this downtrend to the national vaccination program. So ito po, as of December 13 to, okay, 97.2 million doses administered already. Malapit na po tayo sa 100 million na mark, no? As of December 13. And if you look at the second dose, ito yung sinasabi natin nakakompleto na nung doses, either a single dose of Janssen or 2 doses of the other COVID vaccines. 53.81% po ay halos 54% na. Immunization coverage, na-reach na natin yung target natin for the end of the year. Diba? 54% lang yung ating tinarget. Pero sana maitaas pa natin yan towards the end of the year and early part of next year kasi nga meron pa tayong bagong threat na naman ng variant. So anyway, what we're looking at here, lahat naman ng priority groups ay nabibigyan ng bakuna. Of course, yung A1, healthcare workers, receive mas mataas ang kanilang immunization coverage or ating immunization coverage. Yung A2, I think sa NCR, medyo mataas naman na, more than 90%. Pero sa ibang parts of the country, sa ibang regions, medyo kailangan pang i-push ang ating seniors, and then yung may mga comorbidities, mataas na rin po ito. And then yung A4, tumataas na, and A5, and then the rest of the population. So, ito lang, papakita ko lang, I don't know, some of you are maybe in some of these regions, kapag dark green kayo, ibig sabihin, marami na ang nabakunahan. So, ang number 1, ang top notcher, ay of course ang NCR, kasi doon naman din pinakamarami ang tao, no? Na nagkaroon ng COVID at yung mga nabigyan ng bakuna, doon talaga halos binuhos yung dating immunization. And then followed by Region 4A, actually humabol na lang po ito Region 4A, dati hindi naman siya ganun kataas, and then Region 3, and then down the line. I think Region 9 medyo mataas din. And then, ang medyo may problema, I don't know kung may taga-BARM dito, baka makakatulong kayo na ma-ramp up natin yung kanilang immunization coverage doon. Yeah, but please take note, meron din tayong mga booster doses na ha. Marami na, halos magna 900,000 na yung nabigyan ng booster doses. Siguro by the end of the year, more than 1 million na po yan. Okay, ito nakita nyo na before. In-explain ko na yung efficacy from clinical trials. So ito yung, nung ginagawa pa lang yung trial, bago pa sila mabigyan ng emergency use authorization, iba-iba ang efficacy rates ng iba-ibang bakuna. Depende kasi kung sinong grupo ang kanilang tinest, ilang mga taon, mga healthcare workers ba, matatanda, general population na healthy, and so on. So this is overall protection against mild, moderate, or severe COVID. Hindi siya hiniwalay, magkakasama. So 95 to 50%. Approved naman ng WHO ang at least 50% efficacy. Pero pag tinignan nyo yung efficacy nila against severe COVID lang, lahat sila mataas. So maganda ang proteksyon ng lahat ng bakuna na ito, more than 90%, up to 100% in some studies. Okay, so that was good. And then we deployed the vaccines, millions of doses of vaccine. Pero after 5 to 6 months, we noted, ito yung galing sa data sa Israel, na after 5, 6, 7 months, yung mga nabakunahan earlier, December 2020 hanggang mga January 2021, yung mga nauna na medyo elderly, medyo vulnerable, high-risk groups ng Israel, they began showing breakthrough infections. Ano yung breakthrough infections? Ito yung COVID infection that develops 2 weeks after a second dose. So ibig sabihin, yung bakuna ay nakalusot siya, hindi siya naprotektahan ng bakuna. And we attribute those breakthrough infections to the waning immunity. So ang waning immunity will be shown here dito sa taas na ito naman. So this is really expected. Lahat po ng mga bakuna or even pag nagkasakit tayo at nagkaroon tayo ng immunity, eventually over time bababa po yan. So what we see here, waning immunity or fading protection, how protection from COVID infection reduces over time. So meron tayong mga surveillance activities, yun nga, mga breakthrough infections, na titignan natin vis-a-vis those who got the vaccine. No? So in surveillance showed that COVID-19 vaccines become less effective over time. So binigyan lang natin ng title, the vaccine A or vaccine B. So parang ganito. Kunwari, nag-start kayo ng 95% efficacy. After about a month, nung nabakunahan kayo, medyo bababa na yan ng 88%. But still good, no? Maybe after 5 to 6 months, about 74%. And even longer, mas medyo baba. And that is true with other vaccines. So we're looking at waning immunity or fading protection. And one other thing that I'd like to say, bukod sa waning immunity, meron pa rin maraming mga hindi vaccinated. So yung COVID cases, hospitalizations, ICU admissions, and deaths in the unvaccinated versus vaccinated are actually shown here. What we're trying to say here is unvaccinated people had a greater risk of testing positive for COVID-19 and a greater risk of dying from COVID-19 than people who were fully vaccinated. So ito will show that. So yung unvaccinated is the black line. So mas mataas po ang cases. So unvaccinated people in all age groups had higher case rates than fully vaccinated individuals shown here in blue. Okay, so aside from waning immunity, bumaba yung immunity to low levels or hindi na talaga ma-detect ng mga antibodies, for instance, dumating pa yung mga variants. Of course, we are already familiar with the alpha, beta, gamma, and delta variants. So the WHO says that the delta variant accounts for 99.9%, halos 100%, of COVID cases around the world. This was as of November 16. So they were able to test close to 900,000 COVID cases by sequencing yung kanilang mga isolates, no? And then, yun nga ang nakita, that the Delta variant is now the dominant variant in many parts of the world. Okay. So, anong implikasyon niyan? Well, in fact, dito sa atin, the PGC just last December 12, Sunday, reported that they tested around 574 samples. Nag-sequence sila doon sa mga RT-PCR positive samples from the November and December travelers from Omicron-affected countries. And these were all Delta. So, wala pang Omicron at that time. No? Pero just a few hours ago, we had this breaking news, December 15 ngayon. The DOH reported 2 travelers tested positive for the Omicron variant. One was from Japan who had mild symptoms. So siguro bago siya sumakay sa eroplano, medyo wala pa. Tapos yung nasa eroplano, nagsimula na siya mag-manifest ng symptoms. And the other one was from Nigeria, pero hindi nasabi yung, hindi nabanggit yung clinical status. Maka later makita na natin. No? So what is important here is to do contact tracing. Sa ngayon, naka-isolate na itong dalawa na to, pero yung mga contacts nila, and that is what is important. Okay. So far, anong effect nitong mga variants sa protection against vaccines? So far, the data showed, ito ay wala pang Omicron, ito mga data that we have here, no? Protection against variants was reduced by 2.5 to 6-fold yung kung binigyan nyo nung vaccina first generation, yung prototype strain or ancestral strain. So all of this, to may mga data tayo, iba-ibang sets of data to. Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Sinovac, Moderna, Janssen, but despite that reduction in protection, following vaccination with their first generation vaccines by about 2.5 to 6-fold, they were still effective against some of these variants of concern, like Alpha, Beta, Delta, and I think hindi lang nasama dito, pero meron din yung Sinovac, not just Delta, but Gamma, yung Gamma variant. So overall, despite that reduction by 2.5 to 6-fold, the FDA-approved vaccines that we are using here are still effective in protecting against the severe form of COVID, including itong mga variants na to. May reduction, pero may protection pa. But we have to caution everyone that fully vaccinated, immunocompromised, and other vulnerable people can still develop severe infection, especially due to the Delta variant. We do not know yet for the Omicron variant, but we should know soon enough. Okay, so after that, Delta, sabi 99%, hindi na ngayon, no? Kasi the Omicron variant came about and this was first detected in South Africa. So ito yung as of siguro October, medyo bumababa na si South Africa. Although their immunization coverage is still low at that time, around 25, less than 25%. And in some areas, less than 10%. So pero nakita nila, may naging steep rise in COVID cases around November, early November. And then that is how they were able to isolate na ito, may bagong variant pala, which later on, WHO named as the Omicron variant. So as of December 14, the Omicron variant has been detected in more than 70 countries, with perhaps more still expected, with its global spread and large number of mutations causing concern. So itong 5 na po ito ang variants of concern. Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, and more recently, Omicron. So sino ba itong Omicron na to? So it was only on November 26 that WHO declared it as a variant of concern. So what do we know about it? So ang unang tinawag sa kanya ay yung kung saan siya nanggaling, yung kanyang lineage, B11529. Then later it was called Omicron. So where was it identified? It was first identified in South Africa and is likely to have evolved during a chronic infection of an immunocompromised patient, possibly an untreated HIV/AIDS patient. So itong wala siyang treatment for HIV, tapos hindi naman sinabi kung meron siyang bakuna. I'm sure wala din bakuna to. Hindi nga nagtitreat eh. So eventually, nakakuha ng COVID and the virus was able to mutate. So the variant has also been detected sa Gauteng province and then later detected in Botswana. Then as far as Hong Kong and then Israel and Belgium, and as I said, as of yesterday, nasa more than 70 countries na. So mabilis siya. So much more infectious and higher transmissibility than the Delta variant. Now, how is it different? Makikita nyo itong mga mutations mamaya and go into that. But why are we concerned? Why is it worrying that we now have this Omicron variant? Because of precisely, very clear na, dati tinatanong pa lang, transmissible ba to? Very clear na ngayon that it's very, very highly transmissible, much more than the Delta variant. And although may konting information na on how it can evade the immune responses from either prior infection or vaccination, marami pa tayong dapat aralin. No? So may mga mutations. So ito, ang Delta variant has around 7 to basta less than 10 ang mutations ng Delta. And the others even less. May mga small mutations pero hindi masyadong important or significant. But for the Omicron, there are at least 30 amino acid substitutions. So yung spike, this is your spike, no? Ito yung spike na nag-a-attach sa inyong host cell receptor. So dahil yan yung gusto niyang, syempre, for its own advantage, i-change na yan para either mas maging maganda binding niya or it will evade an immune response. So 30 amino acid substitutions, meron ding mga small deletions, ibig sabihin na wala yung ibang mga amino acids, o may nadagdag na isa na nakita sila. And 15 of the 30 amino acid substitutions are found in the receptor binding domain. So remember, yun po yung portion ng spike na kumakabit sa host cell receptor natin na ACE2. So ito po ang mga key amino acid substitutions in spike protein. Itong mga blue na to, yung nasa receptor binding domain. And then meron pang ni-red ko dito para medyo maiba siya because I will refer to it later. So napakarami yan. Iniisa-isa nilang pag-aralan yan para maintindihan ano ang behavior nitong bagong variant na ito. So let us look first at its transmissibility. So paano nila nasabi na talagang highly transmissible ito and to what will they attribute that higher transmission? So ito, no, yung itsura niya, andito lahat ng mga mutations ng Omicron. So ito, for the transmissibility studies, analysis of the changes in the spike protein indicate that the Omicron variant is likely to have increased transmission compared to the original SARS-CoV-2 virus because of the mutations that they already know from the other variants are associated with increased transmissibility. So ito N501Y, ito yung position ng amino acid doon sa spike. Ito siya, itong arrow na to. This increases binding to the ACE2 receptor and this mutation plus another mutation may increase binding affinity even more. So hindi lang yung isa. Pag mayroon pang ibang sumali na mutation, pwede pang makadagdag palalo doon sa binding affinity na sa ACE2, which will increase its transmissibility. Then meron pong iba pa dito, actually wala na sa receptor binding domain itong H655Y. This is an amino acid change from histidine to tyrosine and then 681, 679. Ito yung tatlo dito. They are proximal to the furin cleavage site na kailangan doon sa viral replication. That this could also aid in transmission. And then itong P681H, ito has been shown to enhance spike cleavage, ganun din yung itong dalawang ito, which could further aid in transmission. And this mutation, this P681H, has been found or is found in alpha variant, and an alternate mutation at this position, so medyo na iba pa, no? It's another mutation, is found in Delta variant. So pero medyo nakakabahala, no? It's concerning that you have so many mutations. Pero Pfizer was quick naman to do its laboratory studies on the Omicron variant. So meron naman parang good news, although I'm just saying this is from based from press releases pa lang. Hindi pa namin nakikita yung preprint or any publication from this. But there's enough information to go by. No? So what did they do? So the blood was collected from individuals. So binalikan nila yung mga nabigyan ng 2 or 3 doses of Pfizer, yung binigay sa Pfizer, 30 micrograms. No? Yung naka-receive ng 2 doses, 3 weeks after second dose, kinuha yung blood, and yung naka-receive ng third dose, 1 month after the third dose. And each serum was tested for its pseudovirus neutralizing antibody titer against the wild type, yung ancestral Wuhan strain ng spike protein, and the Omicron spike variant. So yun lang yung tinest nila against the original and against this new variant Omicron. And this third dose compared to the second dose, no? The third dose significantly increased the neutralizing antibody titers against the Omicron strain by around 25-fold. Baganda po yun. No? Tumaas ng around 25-fold yung neutralizing antibodies against the Omicron, yung nag-bind sa Omicron at nag-bind doon sa ancestral spike protein. And the titer, as you see here, hindi naman siya ganun kataas, pero mataas na po yung titer na yan. No? 154 after 3 doses ito. Titer of neutralizing antibodies, 154 against Omicron, and 155 against the ancestral strain. And then, interestingly, mayroon po silang sinabi na mataas ang antibody titer na na-measure nila against the Delta variant. So titingnan namin hindi pa namin nakikita yung actual technical details nito, paano nila ginawa, ano mga test ang ginamit nila, para maintindihan namin why the Delta variant showed higher neutralizing antibodies against the Delta variant. And there are now reports that up to 75% protection against the Omicron variant could be possible after a third dose. So yun yung medyo good news doon, no? Na meron naman possibility of actually protecting against this variant. So because of all of this now, waning immunity, fading protection, emerging variants, we need to consider boosters. And we have done that actually here in the Philippines. No? So sino yung binigyan natin? We have also, hindi naman ganun kadami yung mga bakuna natin. So we had to first give to the most vulnerable, sino yung at-risk groups, the elderly, the immunocompromised, the high exposure risk like the healthcare workers. Then we continue to actually study the epidemiology of breakthrough cases over time. So ano ba itong mga breakthrough na re-report sa atin at yung disease severity? Saan mga groups? Sa elderly ba? Sa younger, middle age? O do sa may mga comorbidities and so on. So we want to see those data as well from the Philippines. And then kami as technical panel, we monitor yung performance ng mga booster doses na binibigay outside us bago natin actually consider for the Philippines. So not just looking at whether they can really boost yung immunogenicity, but whether they are also safe to give as additional doses. So meron tayo ngayong choices, homologous, the same brand, or heterologous, another brand. No? So meron na tayong mix and match. Nung una, yung primary, wala kayong choice kung ano yung available. Ngayon, sa bagay, kung ano pa rin yung available. Pero pwede nang maging choosy ng konti. Okay. So ito yun, no? Pag nakaisa lang dose kayo, this is the immune response, ganito lang, bababa, then you give a second dose, tataas, pero bumaba rin as we saw with some of these vaccines. No? After 5-6 months, bumaba. So would a third dose be good? Or when is the best time or optimal time to give the booster? So depende yan. So tinitignan natin yung mga data. So the data actually show that longer intervals between the second and the third doses produce higher boosting effects. So may mga vaccines na may data at yung interval 3 months merong 6 months, may 8 months, may 12 months after the primary series. So there is wisdom. Actually, nakita nila na mas mataas nga yung boosting effect, mas longer yung interval. So there is wisdom in waiting for the right time to boost. Ayaw natin mag-boost kapag mataas pa yung antibodies. Pero ayaw din natin mag-boost pag sobra naman baba. We just have to do it right. Okay, so maybe just to clarify the way we use these terms, no? We go by the WHO definition. Meron siyang fina-follow na definition when to say this is a booster dose and when to say this is an additional dose of an extended primary series. So yung booster, we should actually reserve for yung yung additional dose na binigay natin, yung dagdag, to somebody who has completed the primary vaccination series. And for COVID, ang ating primary vaccination series ay 1 dose for Janssen and 2 doses for all the other vaccines. Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Sputnik, Sinovac, Sinopharma, Novavax, Covaxin. No? So, generally, ginagamit natin yan sa mga medyo general healthy population na yung 2 doses should be enough. Pero over 5 to 6 months na, over time, bababa yung immunity. That is why you want to give a booster dose. Ngayon, WHO prefers to use the additional doses na term or even a 3rd dose of a vaccine doon as part of an extended primary series. Ibig sabihin, dito sa taas, ang primary series ay 1 to 2 doses. Dito sa para sa mga immunocompromised, ang thinking ng WHO is that they should receive 3 doses as primary series. Ito po ay defined, yung mga may HIV, may autoimmune diseases, mga transplant patients na on immunosuppressive therapy, dialysis patients, cancer patients na nagkikimo, and maybe even others na nagko-chronic steroid therapy. So, pag additional dose, it is part of the primary series. We call that an extended primary series. So, and then here I just had to parang make it clear that homologous dose refers to the same brand of vaccine that you use as a booster, and heterologous refers to the use of a different brand, like so. Okay, so makikita nyo later. What both the booster and additional doses want to do, so they should do, is enhance the immune response to re-establish a sufficient level of effectiveness against the disease. So ito po yung aming ginawang rekomendasyon. Ito po yung lumalabas na table. Pero siguro dapat po ay baguhin na rin natin itong nandito, no? But I will explain that later. So for Sinovac, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, Gamaleya, Sputnik, the recommended interval for the booster dose is at least 6 months. No, so pwede siyang homologous, the same brand, or heterologous. Pwede piliin, actually wala yung ibang listahan dito. Pwede rin kung gusto nyo Gamaleya, pwede din. No? O pwede din Janssen if you like. But for Janssen, medyo very specific siya kasi 1 dose lang yung kanyang in-apply for EUA, kaya yung kanyang interval for a 2nd dose, which we call a booster dose na, is at least 3 months. Okay? So, pero pwede rin siyang homologous, you give Janssen, or yung 2nd dose, pwede na rin iba. Pwede na rin. So, meron tayong ganong flexibility. Itong not yet for implementation, nilagay lang to noon kasi kulang yung ating supplies ng Gamaleya and Janssen. So, pero yung as far as I know, either kahapon ba, kagabi, dumating yung Janssen vaccines from the COVAX facility. So, just to maybe reiterate the point that yung mga immunocompromised, ito yung mga general population, the immunocompromised can get 3rd dose as the extended primary series. So, ito medyo marami akong data dito, but I prefer to put them together para lang makita ninyo yung comparison, no? Na actually, ano ba ang comparison? Pare-pareho sinasabi nila. Okay, on the left side, we have the 3rd dose of Pfizer, 30 micrograms of Pfizer, given 8 to 9 months after the 2nd dose. So then tinest nila yung nabigyan ng 2 doses, then nabigyan ng 3 doses against yung antibodies na na-generate ng after 2 or 3 doses. Antibodies were tested against the beta variant or the delta variant. So makikita nyo, in-enclose ko naman na dito. Yung third dose, dito ay younger age group, ang tinest, 18 to 55 years old. Dito yung 65 to 85 years of age. So after the third dose, in both age groups, no, tumaas yung antibody titer, neutralizing antibody titers ito, no? And then yung green corresponds to the binding with the wild type, yung ancestral type, and itong orange yung binding with the beta variant. So pareho, no? In either age group, 18 to 55 or 65 to 85 years old, na-boost yung kanilang antibody titers after a third dose, and halos pareho lang, medyo mababa lang ng konti yung sa variant, pero hindi na nalalayo doon sa wild type. Ganon din yung ginawa nila sa delta variant na tinest, although medyo mas mababa ng konti yung antibody titers, pero after those two, ito lang yung level niya. When given the third dose, tumaas din, and this one is again, tested against the wild type, and then itong blue ay against the delta variant. So pareho lang yan, no? And then, yung Moderna, actually, ang binigay sa Moderna is only half of the original dose. Ang original dose kasi ng Moderna is 100 micrograms. So they were able to study na for a booster, it's possible to give just half of it, 50 micrograms. And in this panel, itong sa gitna na panel, itong sa Moderna, they used two vaccine formulations. The first one was yung formulation nila na original. Ito yung ancestral o yung prototype strain, no? So makita nyo na 6 months after dose 2, bumaba na yung antibody levels. Nung binigyan ng third dose, this is tested 2 weeks after dose 3, na increase yung antibody response. What you see here, given the prototype, yung original, dito sa baba, ang binigay dito ay yung prototype plus the beta variant. So yung formulation ng vaccine ay medyo iba, nadagdagan ng beta variant. But what that showed is pareho lang yung boosting effect kahit ang ibigay mo yung dating original formulation or the beta variant formulation. So from this level of antibodies, tumaas din. So all boosters, or both actually for Pfizer and Moderna, increased neutralization titers against the variants of concern. So ito tinest sa D614G, this is beta and this is gamma. Ito kanina beta and delta. So for this Moderna, ang tinest nga nila beta and gamma and the D614. So maganda, no? And then very recent, itong isang study naman na published sa Lancet. This is called heterologous booster studies. Very peer-reviewed na po ito, no? So they did a randomized trial of third dose booster vaccines given 10 to 12 weeks after an initial course of either Astra primary or Pfizer primary. So first dose Astra, second dose Astra, and then 7 vaccines were tested as booster doses. So Astra, Pfizer, Moderna, Novavax, Janssen, CureVac, and Valneva. Wala tayo nitong dalawang to sa Philippines. But we have those, of course, yung Novavax, we have tested that, pero wala pa yung actual supplies. For Pfizer, na primary, yung nabigyan ng Pfizer, they only tested 6 vaccines as booster, Astra, Pfizer, Moderna, Novavax, Janssen, and then CureVac. So meron silang ginamit na full dose, may ginamit na half dose, and medyo iba-iba yung data sets that we found. Pero generally, this was the result for the Astra prime individuals. The spike immunoglobulin geometric mean ratios were 1.8 in yung Valneva ito. So medyo mababa pero mataas dito sa Moderna group, 32.3. Yung ibang mga vaccines nasa gitna. no? Pinakamababa yung Valneva. But for the cellular response, ito yung mga T-cell responses, mataas din for Moderna, around 3.6. Mas mababa talaga yung measure ng cellular response. Then for the Pfizer primary, 1.3 yung pinakamababa when given half of the Valneva vaccine and 11.5 ang highest sa Moderna after Pfizer. Ito after, so I don't know why, after AstraZeneca, binigyan nyo ng Moderna, mas mataas yung boosting kaysa pag Pfizer, binigyan mo ng Moderna. So, of course, we can explain that dahil ito may kasamang vector, yung adenovirus niya. And then for the cellular response, one for half lang ng Valneva and higher again for Moderna. So yung iba in between, no? Hindi ko na nilagay. So ang conclusion from this very, very comprehensive study was that all vaccines yung tested as boosters had acceptable side effect profiles. But 3 vaccines showed overall increased reactogenicity. Ibig sabihin, mas marami yung nag-report ng side effects with Moderna with Moderna as booster after having been given Astra or Pfizer, and also higher reactogenicity with Astra and Janssen after having been given with Pfizer. That is expected. There are already many studies showing that heterologous boosters give higher reactogenicity or side effects. But all study vaccines, so lahat ito halos, boosted antibody and neutralizing responses after Astra, itong unang group, and all except one na person after the Pfizer prime. So what this means is maganda pag binuboost, dumadami yung antibodies, tumataas yung affinity, and also broadly reactive and able to actually protect also still against the variants of concern. So this I just wanted to add para lang yung kasi not the correlates of protection are now at least a little clearer na dapat neutralizing antibodies ang i-measure natin. Sana mataas, no? Pero that's not all there is to it. The cell-mediated immune responses should also form part of the correlates of protection. Now, yung 80% of epitopes in the spike protein are recognized by CD8 positive T cells. So, hindi naman bumababa yan. Actually, yung mga studies have already shown that pag tinignan nila yung mga T-cell responses na susustain from a first dose, second dose, or third dose. Hindi kagaya ng mga antibodies na bumababa. So, given that, kahit siguro magkaroon ng mga mutations, hindi naman affected ang CD8 positive or even CD4 positive T-cells ng mutations. So, 2 doses may still induce protection against especially the severe disease. So, malapit na ako matapos. So, ito yung pong boosters na binigay na natin. We started in November with A1. A week after that, binigay na natin sa A2, A3 kasi alam natin bumababa na. By then, 7-8 month na yung iba na nabakunahan ng March. No? So, and then 2 weeks after, in-include na ang lahat, especially yung frontliners, the economic frontliners, the A4 and the A5 and the rest of the population. And you are of course familiar with our national vaccination days na tinawag natin bayanihan. So hindi bakaunahan, bakunahan yan, wala yung L. So that started in November 29 to December 1. Yan yung nagpa-ramp up ng mataas sa ating immunization coverage, and then we started the extension of that bayanihan bakunahan today up to Friday. So sana mataasan pa yung mga ayaw pa magpabakuna, sana magpabakuna na. Yung po tatamaan nung typhoon ay inilipat nila to next week yung kanilang extended or expanded bayanihan bakunahan. So we really need to ramp up vaccination coverage for everyone, lalong-lalo na yung wala pa pong primary series at yung pwede na ay ibo-booster na. So this is my last slide. So just to reiterate the point that all currently approved vaccines are generally safe, even yung mga boosters. But we do have to also, of course, consider yung may mga precautions tayo on rare, serious adverse events or adverse events of special interest. So as we showed you, yung mga breakthrough infections were noted 6 months after the primary series, which we attribute to waning immunity. And we showed also that the antibodies generated against the first generation vaccines showed reduced neutralizing activity against circulating variants of concern, but these antibodies still afford some protection against these variants. So when we did our evaluation for the booster doses, we of course considered yung waning immunity data and yung effect ng variants. So these were the main considerations for the boosters we recommended. So kaya risk-based yung aming recommendation, mauna yung pinaka-exposed, A1, A2, A3, na or mas volatile ang kanilang immunity or immune responses, and then followed by the general population. And now, in light of the Omicron variant, no, kailangan mataasan pa yung mga pagbabakuna na lang. Now, I showed you more recent data that the higher protection provided by the third or booster doses, especially against severe COVID-19, including against variants. Now, there is current vaccine proposal to lower the interval for booster doses to about 4 to 5 months in general. Actually, parang gusto ng vaccine cluster, the Secretary of Health is around 3 months. Pero pwede namang 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So depende rin kung medyo immunocompromised yung mga tao, feeling nyo hindi, as doctors, you know your patients, kung medyo baka mas kailangan nila earlier than that 6 months that we have recommended. So, balik to sa tanong, pwede bang mag-choose na ngayon? Nung una, hindi pwede mag-choose nung yung first 2 doses. Ngayon, there is so much flexibility, so wala na po dapat reason para hindi pa magpa-booster. So pwede nang maging choosy, pero depende rin kung ano yung may LGUs. May anong supplies ng vaccines meron yung LGUs. Kasi hindi po lahat ng vaccines ina-allocate sa isang LGU lang. Pwedeng isa o dalawa lang na vaccine. So pwede naman kayong mag-hopping, but provided you bring your primary series na vaccination certificate along. Kasi kailangan ng proof na meron na kayong first 2 doses. So hala, tayo na, magpabakuna na po tayo. So with that, we can have our Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gloriani. At this juncture, let's officially start our open forum. So, good evening po, Dr. Gloriani. As before, ako po ulit ang inyong moderator for tonight. Marami na po tayong mga questions. So, I hope ready na po tayo to accept some. So, marami po talaga questions about the booster. So, siguro, let's park muna yung questions natin sa booster para mahaba-haba po ang ating usapan. Let's start with those na mga non-booster related na questions.
Okay.
So meron, Doc, pinakaunang question actually is about a policy sa company. Can we know po your take on the no vaccine, no entry protocol na pinapatupad po ng ibang mga companies or institutions?
No, it's very, very difficult. It's a very sensitive issue. But you do have to protect the rest of your workers. Kasi we're talking about protection here, no? Ang hirap kasi ano ba yung kailangan mayroon kang freedom to get vaccinated or not be vaccinated, pero meron ka ring responsibility to protect others. So actually, meron namang ano yan, no? Di ba yung sabi nila, yung sa on-site, I think they're referring to the IATF resolution about on-site workers being required to be fully vaccinated. Kasi ito yung may mga mataas na exposure, no, sa mga tao, sa mga iba, no. Pero pwede naman wala kang bakuna, pero you should probe that you are not carrying COVID in the capacity by testing yourself at your expense. Ang problema, gusto din nila, babayaran pa ng gobyerno yon or ng company. Medyo mahirap po yun. Ipabalanse natin yung protection versus our responsibility. We are in a pandemic. Actually, sa pandemic po, may police powers. Mabait pa nga tayo dito kasi yung doon sa police powers means, hindi ka, di ba, nagawa natin sa mga ECQ. Yon, yung sa mobility at least, ngayon tayo. Pero doon sa vaccine, medyo parang ibang issue. But for me, kailangan po may protection ang workers sa sarili at sa iba. At kung hindi niya magawa yun, kailangan i-prove niya. So, ito ko kwento ko lang. Si Dr. Bebho ng DOH, meron siya minsang webinar na I was able to attend. Tinanong yan, yung vaccine, ano na yan, hesitancy na yan. And they were actually proposing, may silang framework that included five stages. One is, how do we actually persuade people to get vaccinated? Yun ang una, you want to persuade itong lahat ng mga to, workers mo. Pag hindi umandar si persuasion, step 2, ina-nudge mo. Konting nudge. O, sige, may konti pa. Hindi pa rin, umandar. Step 3, incentive. Ano yung incentive na na-receive ng mga bakunado? Discount. Sa mga pagkain, sa kainan, sa petron, I know that. Kasi ako maraming nakuha sa petron. Discount dahil tinatanong kung may bakuna ako, binigay ko yung card. And then, incentive, no? Persuasion, nudging, incentive. Ayaw pa rin. Ayaw niya eh. Dapat manalo na sana siya ng house and lot. Dahil kasama sa incentive yun dito sa amin, sa Las Piñas. Oh, yung apang-apat, disincentive. Yan yun. Magpapa-RT-PCR ka. Yun yung disincentive. At ano yung last? Gagawin siya mandatory na pinakamahirap sa lahat because it will require a law. So, wala naman pa tayo doon. Pero nandun tayo sa disincentive. But even the disincentive, ayaw nila. Pero, ano yun? Gusto mo lang gawin yung sarili mo, wala kang pakialam yung responsibility mo. Yun lang yung akin doon. I don't know, I could be baka ma-demo ko dito, mapikit. Pero that's how I feel about it.
Pero thank you, Doc. That is a very good parang algorithm to follow na talagang it is a last resort kung talagang na public health will be at risk already. Pero marami pa dapat kumbaga na dapat gawin, not only the government but also sa private sector. So thank you for that. Doc, another question naman, again, sa primary series naman po tayo. Maraming nagtatanong about the delay in the second dose of the primary series. Meron po ba tayong cut-off? Like for example, ganito katagal na, you should restart for example. Or on the other hand, other extreme, baka masyado namang mabilis? Perhaps yung second dose?
We prefer a longer interval than yung mas mabilis. Kasi yung data showed na even between the first and second doses and the second and third doses, the longer intervals gave higher antibody levels. Ang pinaka-example natin doon sa primary, first, second, yung AstraZeneca, meron silang data talaga, di ba? Yung 8 to 12 weeks na interval, yun ang mas mataas ang antibody levels kaysa doon sa binigyan ng 1 month after. So meron namang data yon. So yung may mga ganong concerns, dahil nahuli o wala yung bakuna na gusto nila, ay pwede namang malate ng konti. Hindi naman siguro 1 taon, pero mga hanggang 6 months ay pwede pa. No? Pero generally, nasa 3 months sana, at least, up to 6 months. Pero wag naman, So, I think more yan dun sa mga Sinopharma or Janssen, yung medyo nahuli, yung supplies, kaya nahuli sila. Pwede pa po, hindi naman kailangan ulitin.
Thank you, Doc, for that. Doc, what about the primary series naman po for those less than 12 years old? Meron na po ba tayo nakikita?
Yung 5 to 11 years old. Okay, so sa ngayon, ang meron yan sa US and Canada and I think baka Singapore and parts of Europe daw mag-uumpisa na. actually yung 12 to 17 and then yung 5 to 11. Nag-apply sa atin ng Pfizer for the 5 to 11 years old, and katatapos lang namin ng aming evaluation. We should be making the recommendations within the next few days sa FDA, and FDA will have another panel. Marami yan kasing mga layers, and then they will make the final approval. Siguro by next year, early next year. We have to be careful kasi bata ito, no? Lower dose ito. Kunwari 30 micrograms yung para sa adults, nasa 10 lang ito. And then we have to follow yung mga safety, Kasi, di ba, first do no harm, mga bata ito. Pero so far, ang data showed very good naman. Safe and immunogenic.
Truly understandable, no? Thank you po for that update. Dok, ito na, puro booster na po yung yung mga tanong po natin. Ang pinakamarami talaga, Dok, will be about the timing of the booster. May mga nag-booster po even before the 6 months. May mga nagtatanong na talaga po bang to the day dapat ang ating ika-6th month, provided it's not Janssen, kasi Janssen will be 3 months only. Meron po bang effect yun, Dok, kapag napaaga masyado? For example, before the...
Yung extremes siguro, talaga magkaka-effect yun. Yung 2 weeks apart, ayaw natin yan. Sa animals lang namin yung ginagawa pag nag-experimento kami every 2 weeks. Pero sa humans, better actually ang 28 days, yung 1 month. So yung iba 21 days na binigay. I think ang Pfizer 21, ang Sputnik 21, then yung iba 28 days na. Pero okay na, they have data naman that showed na okay naman sila. Pero hindi naman kailangan eksakto, sinabing 6 months. Parang, talagang bilang na bilang, ilang 180 days ba yun? Hindi naman po ganon. And in fact, kaya nga natin kino-consider ngayon kasi yung baka pwedeng earlier, yung mas parang may mga immunocompromised, yung mas tingin natin medyo frail or elderly. Kaya alam nyo, lalabas na sun yung baka earlier ang maging booster. Pero sa ngayon, siyempre sinusunod ng ating mga LGUs yung recommendations. Kasi ang recommendations is at least 6 months. Kasi po, yun yung aming tinignan na general data. Yung ibang mga vaccines, bumaba ng 5, 6 months. Yung iba 6 months, yung iba 7 months, yung iba 8 months. But generally, pag tinignan mo silang lahat, around 5 to 6 months, doon bumababa. Kaya yun ang pinili natin kasi hindi pwede, ikaw grupo ka, hindi mo nga alam kung immunocompromised ka or what. Ikaw 5 ka, ikaw 6. Napakagulo po nun operationally. So we had to make it easier for the NVOC operations. So kaya naging ganun yon. Pero meron kaming recommendations for the immunocompromised. Pwede sila, kasi nga additional dose sila, di ba? So pwede silang earlier, pwedeng 3 months after. Pero with the Omicron ngayon, malakas ang aming na baka gawin earlier. Kasi you want to boost. Hindi mo alam paano na-boost ito mga Filipino. So ilan ba dito sa binigyan mo ng booster ang talagang healthy at biglang nagtaas? Hindi naman lahat. May mga malnourished dyan, may mga may sakit. So you have to also consider it.
Thank you, Doc. Yun, malinaw talagang in the current data that we have, talagang 6 months po. No? But in time, baka ever-changing po ang ating mga...
evolving kasi ang data. So, huwag kayong magulat pag in-announce ni Secretary Roque. Meron namang basehan yan pag sinabing pwede.
Doc, yun yung about interval. Ngayon, Doc, what about the dosage? Kasi I'm sure naririnig nyo rin po mga anecdotal na mga evidence na may mga nakakakuha na instead of a half dose as Moderna booster, nakakakuha sila ng 2 full doses as second series. Tapos na po, may after the primary, may effect po ba yun?
No, wala namang effect. Actually, walang effect. Ganito, no? Pag first 2 doses mo, di ba, baba. Binigyan mo yung 3rd dose, tataas. Pag 1 month later pa lang, kabibigay mong 3rd dose, hindi pa mababa yung antibody mo noon. Kasi nga unang-una, binus mo, mas mataas na dihamak yun kaysa doon sa 2nd dose. Dari, ito, after 1 dose, sabihin natin 10. After 2 doses, naging 40, 50 siya. After the 3rd dose, naging 100 siya. So, yung between 100 and 50, no? Hindi yun agad bababa yung 100 kasi nga mataas. So, after 1 month, hindi mo expect na bababa yun ng 40 o ng 30. Mataas pa rin yun. So, useless yung ibibigay mo na 4th dose value yun. No? So, kasi parang operational ba yan? O I don't know kung policy o pag ano. Kasi anong nangyari, naging available, binenta yung ibang bakuna sa private sector. And ang bentahan nila, hindi as a booster, but as a primary. Kaya pag bumili ka, dalawa. Di sayang naman pag hindi mo itinurok yung isa. Pero sayang, pwede nyo ibigay sa iba yung bakuna. Pwede namang i-donate.
Pero safety issues, Doc, wala naman pong kaso. Kahit naka-4th dose ka na.
Okay, tinitingnan pa natin yung safety ng mga bakuna. So far, yung booster doses, yung 3rd, 3 pa lang, yung additional, ay wala namang safety issues. Medyo sinabi ko, medyo tumaas ang reactogenicity. Mas marami nag-report ng side effects. Pero mild pa rin. Pero we do not know yung 4th. Kaya nga babantayan natin, no? If you recall my slide, sabi ko doon, the performance of booster doses for safety and immunogenicity. Parating kasama ang safety. So we do not know. And the more you boost, lalo kung heterologous booster ka, mas mataas yung reactogenicity talaga. Known na yun. Very clear na yun. Na pag iba yung binigay mo, yung ibang brand, mas marami ang reactions. Pero sabi ko nga, mild. But we do not know pag naka-4th, naka-5th. Pero may alam ako naman na naka-5th, wala naman naging effect. Pero sayang. Yun ang sinasabi ko. Sayang. And you do not also know. Swerte niya, hindi siya nagka-side effect. Pero hindi lahat magiging swerte na walang side effect after a 4th dose or even a 5th dose.
I see. Thank you for that clarification, Doc. Doc, what about, Doc, the boosters po kasi now are being rolled out for adult population. Meron po bang plans for the teenage population or even pregnant, breastfeeding?
Kasama ang pregnant at ang breastfeeding, no? Sa boosters. So kasama sila kung matataon. Although mayroong ang POGS, Philippine Obstetrics and Gynecological Society, na ina-avoid nila magbigay sa first trimester. Kunwari umabot na yung 3rd dose niya o booster niya ay nabuntis siya, no? First trimester. Pwede namang i-delay yun. Although wala namang effect kasi may data ang Pfizer at Moderna na nabigyan ng mga doses ng Pfizer nung buntis yung mga healthcare workers nila. Wala namang effect na kakaiba. So dito sa atin, it's a precaution that yung position statement ng ating folks.
I see.
You can wait for 2nd trimester.
I see. Okay. Doc, what about booster for the teenage population?
Hindi pa natin iniisip yan. Kasi alam nyo, itong younger, hindi naman ganun ka-severe, diba? Alang COVID nila, hindi ganun kadami. Pero pag-iisipan natin yan, kung talagang marami namang doses, kasi alam nyo maganda immunity ng younger. Maganda immune response nila. We don't expect them to have this waning or fading protection agad. We're thinking more of the elderly and the immunocompromised. So medyo malayo sila for booster. Pero we will have to consider that as well, of course.
I see. Tapos, Doc, marami rin pong mga nagtatanong, mga recommended vaccine nyo daw po sa certain subpopulation. Like for example, ano pong magandang booster sa mga may comorbidities? May ganun po ba? Magandang
Hindi naman. Basta ang alam nyo lang, ganito, no? Some of the newer platforms ay talagang mayroong rare serious adverse events or adverse events of special interest. Ano po ito? Nara yung myocarditis, pericarditis, yung blood clots or thrombosis, thrombocytopenia syndrome, TTS, and then Guillain-Barré syndrome. So if you feel na meron kayong mga ganong contraindications or may allergy sa polyethylene glycol, i-avoid nyo na lang po yun. Nari ako, I will explain myself. I took Sinovac all the way, 3 Sinovac. Because meron na akong gamot meron akong arrhythmia. Sorry, sinabi ko na tuloy yung mga medical ano pa. And I will not risk taking messenger RNA vaccine knowing meron siyang myocarditis. No? Although rare. Pero may arrhythmia ako for which I have been taking meds for the last 12 years na. So, and then meron din akong gamot na may for yung blood clots. So, hindi ako pwede do sa mga adeno. So, kaya I chose Sinovac na lang ulit. Pero that's not true for many kasi yung mga iba, wala namang ganung mga problema. They took the heterologous and wala naman silang naging problema. Some of my friends, syempre kaedad ko yung mga friends ko na yan, they got the heterologous, wala naman silang naging ano. Kasi mas maganda actually ang immune boosting ng heterologous kaysa homologous. Kita yon do sa AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, even Novavax. Yung Sinovac, wala pa tayong masyadong data sa heterologous. Pero sa homologous, maganda din siya. I may have presented that sa, I think, sa PNA. Yung sa Sinovac.
I see. Thank you po for that, Doc. Doc, talking of mga immunocompromised na mga patients, since you mentioned yung third dose po, gaano katagal, Doc, yung interval po from the second dose na ibibigay yung third dose? And meron pa po bang, again, recommended na vaccine for this subset of population?
Wala naman. Actually, di ba sabi natin, define yung immunocompromised according to WHO or the PSMID. Ang PSMID meron. So, dahil ang ating recommendation doon ay extended primary. So, third dose yung ibibigay. And that could be earlier than 6 months. So, 1, 0, 1, 3, pwede. Depende sa kondisyon ng pasyente. Pero dapat medically stable pa rin. So, nyari, umiinom ng mga immunosuppressive therapy, anti-metabolites. So, kailangan medically stable sila. Pero sila talaga yung nangangailangan ng additional doses. Kasi yung ganong klaseng individuals, yun yung ang unang immune response nila ay hindi maganda. Dahil hindi maganda, di mababa lang, mabilis din bababa. Kaya you have to boost it. I think earlier.
So, Doc, yung mga qualified for the third dose, pwede lang pong dumiretso sa LGU? And then,
they will need from their medical doctors. Actually, meron namang pinapayagan basta mayroong medical certificate na they are immunocompromised. Sasabihin doon na this is CML patient, this is lupus patient, yung mga ganun. So, merong ganun. And that could be, hindi naman yan dapat hindian ng LGU. Merong ganong recommendation for special group yan. Special group.
I see. Okay. Doc, regarding naman po sa since you mentioned yung possibility ng waning immunity, is there value po ba of getting neutralizing antibodies? And kung meron pong value, when will be the best time after the primary or booster? Something like that.
Hindi natin nire-recommend yung testing for antibodies. Nakaka-confuse lang yon kasi number one, yung mga tests that we are using here are not validated to test yung vaccine-induced immunity. They have been validated for natural immunity. So medyo may pagkakaiba yun, no? And number two, ang correlative protection is maybe, sa ngayon, mas clear na neutralizing antibodies, pero that's not all there is to it. Pwedeng mas mainam o mas nag-feature yung cell-mediated immunity. Hindi lang natin natetest. So baka mako-confuse lang sila. Although we did make a recommendation kung moderately to severely immunocompromised patients, kasi tinatanong ng mga espesyalista na dapat may idea sila kung yung 2 o 3 vaccines ba ay nakabuti. So sila pwede. But under yung pag-interpret ng resulta, yung mga doktor ang titingin.
And Doc, for our last question, can you comment, Doc, about those na nag-claim na namatay pa rin sa COVID kahit fully vaccinated na yung patient?
Okay. Yung mga ganyan, severe, serious adverse events, death especially, no, you have to investigate kung talagang galing yan sa vaccine or naging coincidental. So ano bang klaseng pasyente ito? Ito ba ay elderly, may sakit, mayroon bang hypertension, may chronic disease, may kung ano-ano. So yung circumstances ng death, so hindi pwedeng i-attribute agad. Yung may nabakunahan pero hindi agad, hindi pa nakokompleto yung 2 doses tapos nagka-COVID. Yan. So, pwedeng mamatay sa nyari blood clots. Ang COVID, marami din blood clots, meron din myocard. Lahat yan meron, no? Yung makikita mo din sa vaccine. No? So, pero titignan yon at kailangan supported ng laboratory test, maybe x-ray, blood test. Kaya, ang may mga side effects, may mga adverse reactions, kailangan pong mag-report doon sa LGU nyo or doon sa FDA VG flow na tinatawag natin. And then, titignan yan ng ating regional, una LGU, then regional adverse effects, adverse events, following immunization committee, and then up to the national, yung NAFIC. So, kailangan merong gano'n. Kasi actually, kung mapoprove na dahil sa bakuna, may compensation yan, may indemnification yan. But you have to prove it. Kasi kung wala kang data, sasabihin mo lang, oh, nabakunahan to kahapon, namatay ngayon. Hindi ganun yung ating may proseso. Unfortunately, no, mayroong kailangan i-prove ka na it was really due to the vaccine.
I see. So Doc, siguro to end our open forum, baka we can ask for a take-home message. And marami pa pong questions actually. Baka pwede po natin ma-share kung paano po natin kayo pwedeng ma-contact or your office.
Sa email. Actually, maraming nag-email sa akin pero hindi ko agad nakasasagot lahat. No? Nakukuha lang nila doon sa LinkedIn kung saan yung email ko. And they have questions. I try to answer them as much as possible. Lalo yung mga nahuhuli sa kanilang mga doses or yung may mga comorbidities. Siguro yung masasabi ko lang, I've been saying this kasi kanina pa ako nasa webinar. Ano ba daw yung aking take-home message? Ginagamit ko yung ginagamit namin sa PMA. Kumunta kayo kanina ng PMA song. No? Ang masaya ang Pasko ng pamilyang, ng bakunadong pamilyang Filipino. Ayun, nababalik-baliktad ko kasi. Masaya ang Pasko ng bakunadong pamilyang Filipino. So, ngayon, kanina nag-umpisa yung extended natin na vaccination. So, yung mga hindi pa po, importante po na mataasan pa natin yung 54% na sana nga 70-80% at lalong nandyan po yung Omicron variant. Pero despite that, no, kahit may bakuna, kailangan po mag-ingat, suot pa rin properly ang inyong mga mask. Okay pa rin mag-shield, pero although hindi na nila masyado yung distancing, hygiene, tapos ang papasko po, no? Party-party yan. Siguruhin nyo lang na ang kaparty nyo ay kilala nyo at alam yung bakunado. Then maybe pwede, pero you still follow yung mga precautions. So yun lang po, sana masaya talaga at safe ang ating Pasko. Merry Christmas sa lahat.
Thank you very much, Doc. Na masaya ang Pasko ng pamilyang bakunado. Thank you po for that quote, Doc. Maraming salamat po ulit, Dr. Gloriani, at sa mga participants natin ngayong gabi. A very fruitful evening indeed. And at this point, can we invite Dr. Gloriani again to stay and open her camera for the presentation of the certificate. May I request Dr. Angelo Taylor, our PCOM QCC Secretary, to present our certificate of appreciation.
Good evening to everyone. Dr. Gloriani, thank you so much for this opportunity. The second time, maraming salamat po na you gave us the honor to you gave your giving us this opportunity to actually give an update. Sakto pa na nandito na yung dalawang cases ng Omicron variant. So in light of this, PCOM Quezon City chapter would like to give this certificate of appreciation, and it reads, the Philippine College of Occupational Medicine, Quezon City Chapter presents this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Nina Gloriani for serving as resource speaker for the chapter's 35th Kapihang OH, Usapang Bakuna Kontra COVID-19, Part 4. Pagtatapos ng Pandemya, Pagsibol ng Ekonomiya. Given on this 15th day of December 2021, Quezon City, Metro Manila, Philippines. Signed, yours truly, Dr. Jose Anzu Taylor, Chapter Secretary, and Dr. Catherine S. Artais Carriaga, Chapter President. Thank you so much, Dr. Gloriani. Congratulations.
Thank you sa inyong mga.
Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat po. Dr. Jason, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Salamat po sa lahat. At this point, I would like to thank our PCOM QCC virtual Kapihan team. Pinangungunahan po ng aming technical head, our very own PCOM QC Secretary, Dr. Jose Angelo Taylor. Thank you very much, Dr. Taylor. Also, this webinar will not be possible without our PCOM QCC CME team na pinangungunahan naman ni Dr. Maria Cecilia Diana. Thank you very much po, Dr. Diana. To formally end tonight's educational activity, ladies and gentlemen, our chapter secretary, Dr. Jose Angelo Taylor.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the Dr. Gloriani for this second opportunity with you to be our speaker for this Kapihang OH. So, again, Dr. Cabigon, maraming salamat for the introduction. Truly, that this webinar entitled the 35th Kapihang OH, Usaping Bakuna Kontra COVID-19, Part 4, Pagtatapos ng Pandemya, Pagsibol ng Ekonomiya, came in perfect time as the Omicron variant has been detected in the Philippines as of today. We can say that Providence came in perfect timing, and the reason for this webinar to be shared to both the front lines and back lines of the war versus COVID-19. Thank you, Dr. Gloriani, for being our speaker for the second time in the PCOM QCC Kapihang OH, where indeed you are a godsend to our attendees through this digital platform. We would like to express our gratitude to our fellow advocates of occupational safety and health here and abroad, our industrial partners, the national officers and board of directors of the Philippine College of Occupational Medicine, the QC chapter officers and board of directors, the past national and chapter presidents, and the general membership of the college. Without your constant support, the chapter will not reach this height. To the men and women behind the 35th Kapihang OH, you have our greatest gratitude. At this juncture, allow me to invite you of the premiere night of the 34th Kapihang OH in our official YouTube channel. After the live Kapihang OH, the previous Kapihang OH will be posted in our YouTube channel for your review and revisit what you have might missed. Also, the channel contains the playlist OSH to Go video that shows common OSH information in the workplace. And of course, OSH in a flash. Premiere video that contains important questions and answers during our monthly Kapihang. 2 episodes premiered every weekday. With that, please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be alerted for premiering videos. Every subscription support the chapter to create more video contents for the channel for your consumption. Also, please do not forget that Please like, share, follow the chapter social media accounts in Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you do have concerns, partnership proposals, or topics you would like us to discuss for our next Kapihan, or content for our social media channels, you may reach us through any of our social media channels or through our official email, PCOM Quezon City Chapter @gmail.com. To close, do not forget that in PCOM Quezon City Chapter, we value your safety and health. Hashtag PCOM QCC cares. Good night, everyone. Stay safe and healthy. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Doc Jason, back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Maraming salamat ulit sa lahat sa pagdalo sa ating 35th Kapihang OH. That's 35 very rich, valuable, timely, and most importantly, free learning sa lahat. Our seminars look smooth, or at least I think, no? Pero honestly, hindi po madali mag-organize ang kapihan sessions natin. Kaya kung nakatulong po kami sa inyo, ang mga kapihan sessions natin, and you want more, ang inihiling lang po namin is for everyone to subscribe to our official YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow our Twitter and Instagram accounts. Kung hindi niyo po alam yung aming mga site address, pwede po i-search PCOM QCC sa mga media platforms na ito. All our past sessions are uploaded in our YouTube channel. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. It's free again anyway. And as Dr. Taylor mentioned a while ago, your support will move our chapter to even more projects that will benefit everyone. Muli, maraming salamat sa inyong pagdalo. Sa susunod na 36 Kapihang OH, ako po si Dr. Jason Cabigon na parating nagpapaalala na sa Quezon City Chapter ang inyong kaligtasan at kalusugan ay mahalaga. Hashtag PCOM QCC cares. Happy holidays po and stay safe and healthy.